Sometimes when you set up your gear and it's been a number of years between the last time you really played anything, and your gear has now shifted and changed, and there have been updates, and there are things that just no longer work like how you thought they would or could. Different gear changes and cables connecting to all of the gear to make it function the way that you'd like, because you're so darn intricate with everything, and you can't do things simply. In order for me to function as a sound artist, I tend to want to be very intricate in how I produce things, and my creative path is sometimes set up just a tiny little bit. I mean, obviously you have to set up the gear, and then whatever problems occur can mentally destroy your night or an hour or a couple hours out of your creative time. So I'm also, sorry, I got hair in my mouth. I'm also doing things like I used to do when I was much, much younger. Like since, I don't know, age 7 or 8, maybe it was 9. My grandfather gave me a field recorder, cassette field recorder, and I took that thing and recorded so many things with it, and a lot of it was conversations and fights that I may have had with my cousins, and I would record and capture it all on cassette. I mean, obviously this was the time when there were a lot of mixtapes made and cassette recordings of radio songs and stuff. So it was just an extension of that. And as a result, when I left for college, I had a tendency to record on cassette tape everything that I played with my acoustic guitar and any thoughts that I had. I made a whole song with recordings I did while I was taking a shower. Cassette was playing, and I would record something, and then I would have another janky old cassette player that would have a new cassette in it to record and capture. So I was like looping with myself and recycling thoughts and processes over and over, and I just kind of kept that up. That's why in the past when people would say I was very prolific, that's what that meant to me, is that I always tried to capture everything that I was doing, because most of the time it was improvised and I couldn't repeat it. So I wanted to have documentation of it, and I'm kind of getting back into that again. I took many years off because I lost parts of my voice that have never come back, and as a result, when I try and hit certain notes, my voice either drops out and there's no sound that comes out, or the obvious cracking, or it sounds like I'm off key or something, and that really smarts when you're so used to singing and using your voice as an instrument. And the years that I took off as a result of my voice, a big part of that had to do with I couldn't get the gear that I wanted, and I couldn't get things to talk, and a lot of my things were out of date, so I couldn't produce like how I wanted to produce, even though I had some fun toys, instruments, toys, whatever, and I could make sound if I wanted to. The end result is I couldn't put out the sound the way that I wanted, and so I just kind of shut down. Plus, when you have different creative outlets, and one of them is jewelry, and that's your business, it's also hard to make time for your other creative endeavors when you feel like all of your time has to go into creating things that will be available for purchase. And sound didn't obviously make me money. I didn't go that route. But you know, I say my jewelry business is my heart, but my soul is in music and sound. And so yeah, getting back into this is great. But there's going to be a lot of many glitches along the way, and every night I seem to come up with something that is blocking me, like a gear glitch, crackling, you know, just technology not quite doing what it needs to do, and it's conflicting, and so as a result, yeah, you get where I'm going with this. It's trial and tribulation time again, and it's easy to fall into old patterns where if I spend too long on trying to correct something and it's not wanting to correct it, because mentally I don't process things the same. Obviously, I'm older now. I started doing the Dark Muse project like, oh gosh, at least 26 years ago, if not 27, 28, I don't know. And things are different, and yet they're the same. And I keep thinking, oh, yeah, I want to do more beats and more things with beats and have that plotted out somehow. But honestly, I'm not really a beat maker, and maybe that's why I would do my looping with my voice and found objects for sound, and create patterns, looping patterns of those sounds or my voice as a pattern to create a beat, sort of. And I would love to do beat stuff, but then when it comes down to it, I end up doing these vocal things all over again, this haunting ethereal stuff. I guess it's hard to get away from that. Okay, so this was a whole long video about justifying my art, and I always say, even if you struggle and with the world around you and with things happening in the world, and you struggle with all kinds of different things like chronic pain and just life stuff, the best thing you can do for yourself is to just keep trying, keep putting yourself out there in some way, and you'll make what you feel are mistakes along the way, and some of them will be noticeable to others, and that's all part of being human. And yeah, so I'm just gonna put out stuff, even if it's cringe, even if it's quirky or cringe, and I may have videos because, you know, I like to record everything because it's happening in the moment. It's all improvised and I want to capture it. And yeah, just celebrate your quirkiness and celebrate you by continuing to put yourself out there and make your art no matter what.